Yeah, I wanted to leave that last video at where it went off at, because YouTube got this thing where if you got a video over 15 minutes, something like that, and I didn't want to go through all of that, so I just stopped that one. I'm gonna put another video on to finish off that last video and to add some more stuff on to this video. So, what was this Manning versus Brady thing? Yeah, yeah, just often too many times just seeing them play against each other and and Brady just outplaying them. I mean, if it wasn't for Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware, Brady would have had him that game. And the fact that it was in Denver, crowd noise, and Brady typically, for some reason, don't have good games in Denver. Maybe it's the mile high air or whatever, but he's not himself in Denver. But he still almost pulled it out, and almost don't count. But for what it's worth, comparing how they play and looking at Manning in the Super Bowl, he just won it. Congratulations to him, no doubt. He definitely is the two-time champion now. Despite what he didn't. There's just being off some throws, and then there's just playing bad. I thought Peyton was bad in this Super Bowl. I mean, and I know the Panthers, but he was bad. I mean, and that lets you know that this was definitely gonna be his last game and his last season. But just going back to even in his days in Indy and all the weapons he had and all of this stuff, and how Tom didn't, he had David Patton and Bethel Johnson and Deion Branch, and he's just still winning. And people want to say, well, it's Belichick. No disrespect to Drew Bledsoe, but Bill Belichick wasn't winning the ring with Drew Bledsoe. If you look back in Belichick before he was a Patriots coach, when he was in Cleveland, in years like that, there were a lot of 5-11 and 6-10 seasons on Bill Belichick record. And I hate to say this, but when Drew Bledsoe got the shit knocked out of him, that changed NFL history forever. Cause this nigga Brady came out of nowhere and he just took the fuck off. I mean, this shit was really crazy. And just watching him beat Manning to get to the Super Bowl, and watching him beat my former team, the Philadelphia Eagles, who I'm going to be doing the video about them later. I mean, it was he definitely did his thing. I told you my only knock on him is losing to the Giants. I mean, how the fuck did he let that happen? I mean, I watched the Giants. Yeah, we go back to the days of Lawrence Taylor, but who was in a secondary? Nobody. The ninth, nobody. I mean, the Giants they've always had a good front four, a great front four. They have always had pass rush, except for these last couple years. They've always had pass rushers. But the Giants' secondary has always been terrible. And it just amazes me that this season that just passed, if they finally set the record for most passing yards given against them, but anybody, and this is what pissed me off about the Patriots and Tom Brady. That's the perfect defense for you to beat the shit out of. Brady allowed to throw the fucking football all around the field. Why the hell wasn't he really throwing the football? Now he played good. I thought the second Super Bowl, I thought he played great in the second game against the Giants. There was some throws he could have got back, and there was the fucking safety that started the game. But other than that, he had 2 90-yard drives. He was moving the ball against the Giants until people started dropping passes and stuff started happening. But that first Super Bowl, I mean, he was not, and yeah, you could say Justin Tuck and Osi Umenyiora and Michael Strahan was putting pressure on him. I call bull crap on that, because I watch McNabb and all these other, we can fast forward at the Vic and Favre, and Aaron, the Giants have always had a terrible secondary, which is why I can never forgive Brady for losing. But that's my only knock on him. Now, I didn't get a chance to see Montana play, but I heard he was pretty damn good. And you look him up and you watch highlights and stuff, he was pretty damn good. But in the no salary cap era, I don't think that. I think that's kind of. I'm not gonna say unfair, but that he could have the amount of players that he had around him for all of that time. When you compare it to Brady, who could have West 1 minute, Edelman 1 minute, LaFell 1 minute, Scott Chandler 1 minute, Hernandez 1 minute, Stephen Ridley for 1 minute, Danny Woodhead for 1 minute. You know, and he constantly keeps on keeping on. Like, he's always winning no matter who's ever with him. And the one year where he got that Hall of Fame go-to guy is the same year that he pissed me off because they lost to the fucking Giants. But all in all, the regular season, he was lighting that shit up. 50 touchdowns to only 8 interceptions. I mean, he was lighting that shit up. And it's crazy because I said it before that season. I'm like, you put the best quarterback with one of the best, because at that time I didn't think Moss was no longer the best at that time anymore, because obviously in his few years in Oakland he was going downhill. I thought the debate with him and T.O. was over. I thought T.O. had leaped over him and they comparison thing. I'm gonna do a video on them too, but I thought Moss was losing it. But then I said, damn, he's with the Patriots now, so I know he's gonna bring it. They're gonna put them together. And I didn't have them going 16-0, but I had them doing some special things. But they lit that shit up that year. And yeah, and if Tom Brady would have had a Jerry Rice for as long as Montana did, I mean, when you look at the numbers that he gave Wes Welker was catching 100 passes a year and 1,100, 1,200 yards a year, and Julian Edelman's he picking up right where he left off. And you just look at them receivers that Tom is able to. I mean, can you just imagine what he would have did with Jerry? Like, be serious. Imagine what he would have did with Jerry Rice. I don't think that Joe Montana could have had the same success with Julian Edelman or Wes Welker or Deion Branch as Tom Brady did. And I think that Brady would have had more success with Joe Montana and Roger Craig and all of those guys that Montana played. I think Brady would have had more success with Montana's crew. And I don't think Montana would have had as much success with Brady's crew. Now, Montana to Gronkowski would have been awesome. That would have been some awesome shit. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That would have been some awesome. And I'm not trying to say that, like, with them two, you can go either way, because the thing that I try to say in the Kobe and Jordan video is, it's not what you do, it's who you do it against. And Jordan, to me, he didn't really do it against any guys that were somewhat on his level. Not that he was just that much better than everybody, but he was that much better than everybody. And it's not because he didn't make them look like anybody, it's because a lot of those dudes in the 90s weren't anybody. I mean, come on, Dana Barros. I mean, come on, don't give me those guys. What the hell, Andrew Lang, and this was some terrible players in the night. It was a lot of them. But Montana actually played against great competition. Brady played against great competition. You got the Ravens and the Steelers just in your conference alone. Then you got to go against Peyton Manning, and so they played against competition. That's why this argument to me would make more of a debate than the Kobe and Jordan thing, because Kobe played against real superstars and Jordan didn't, except for in the whatever. But I would have to get an edge to Brady, because he balls out. He definitely does. He does his thing. No matter, and it's crazy because he could be losing by a lot, but the game never over with him. And I know Joe Montana was the same way, but this goes back to Peyton because even a few years back, I think this was the 2012 season. They was playing against the 49ers. That's when the 49ers was good. They was losing like 31-3 or some shit, like some crazy shit on a Sunday night game. And they came all the way back. They lost, but they think they only lost by they lost by, it was, the game was close as shit. And I kept watching it because Brady, like, if Peyton Manning is losing by like 14 points, now I watch it because I watch football. But there's times where I turn this shit off. All right, he gonna lose. But Brady, no, if he losing, then I definitely think they gonna win because he gonna come back, even against Denver. Yeah, they was smacking him around and playing ping pong with him in that playoff game against Denver. But he let it be known I ain't done yet. Even in the 2013 season when they played against Denver, they was losing like 21-0, and they came all the way back and won the game. Like, that's just what he does. I mean, against Seattle, no team had ever overcome a 7 or 10 point lead in the fourth quarter in the Super Bowl, and no team has came back from a 10-point lead for sure against Seattle, against that Legion of Boom defense, since they've emerged as that team. No team has came back and beat them, or no team has come back from a deficit in the Super Bowl, period. Brady did both in one game. I was scored like 24-7, and he came all the way back. Now, I hate when people say, well, he only won the ring because of Malcolm Butler. Malcolm Butler put the cherry on top, but Brady baked the cake. Because if had not been for David Tyree part 2, where the fucking ball got tipped in the air, I don't think the Seahawks would have been all the way down there to even have a chance to get a ball to Marshawn Lynch before Malcolm Butler picked it off. But Brady was the one that brought him all the way back and threw the game-winning touchdown to win the game. Now, some things happened after he threw the touchdown, and then they got to the Seahawks got to the 1-yard line and didn't run the ball with Marshawn Lynch, but that's a different story for a different time. And Malcolm Butler put the cherry on top. So for everybody saying that they only won because of Malcolm Butler, you're an idiot. Because Malcolm Butler ain't threw 4 touchdown passes, which equaled to the 28 points that the Patriots scored over the 24 points that the Seahawks scored. 28-24. But yeah, he just, when Peyton Manning was losing 43-8 in the Super Bowl, yeah, I kept the game on because I was really laughing through that whole game because I just couldn't believe what the fuck I was watching in that game. Like, it was like the Seahawks just tied Denver up to a post and just told everybody in the world, you just get one punch at them. Everybody in the world just punched Denver. I mean, that's what it was like watching that game. It was like really like watching Denver get rolled on. I mean, and you could say that, well, it wasn't all Peyton Manning's fault, but Peyton ain't helped. He only scored 8 points. Even if the Seahawks kicker would have kicked 3 field goals, the Seahawks still would have won. 3-6-9. That's 3 field goals. The Seahawks still would have won because the Broncos offense led by Peyton Manning only scored 8 points. Anyway, like, so that's still on him. Brady would have never looked like that. I mean, Peyton looked terrible in that game. And once the team saw their leader play terrible, it just made all of them play terrible. Now they were really scared of Seattle. I don't really think they were scared of Carolina, but this was a different Denver team anyway. This was a different Denver team. They wasn't going for this shit this time around. But if it was up to Peyton, they would have, because he looked terrible.